And we're live. All right, we're live. Time to take a celebratory sip of coffee. So, for those of you who are watching this later, just to let you know, my name is Luke, and we're going to be doing a live class today about, well, lots of things, but including talking about phrasal verbs. I'm going to go through some really useful phrasal verbs. And then, after that, those of you who are here live will have the chance to ask some questions, and I will do my best to answer them. If you notice a little bit of scratchiness in my throat, it's because my throat is scratchy. I've got a little bit of a cold going on, but I won't let that stop the live classes. We're going to be doing these, and we have been doing them every Sunday. Well, supposed to be around 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's been a little bit later recently, but anyway, here we are. So, thanks for joining. I see we have a few people already. Mavi is here, and Alexander, and Lolly is here. Awesome. So that's good. That's good. That's fantastic. We will be getting started with our actual topic first, and then we'll get into the questions. The thing that we're going to talk about might raise a lot of questions in your minds. So be ready to ask questions or make examples of the phrasal verbs that we go through at the beginning of the class. Okay, so these phrasal verbs are really, really common, really useful, but if you don't know how to use them in your daily life, then it doesn't make much sense to actually learn them. So try to write them down, write down your own examples. Then after we finish talking about them, we can go through them together, and I can give you some feedback. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, hit the like button so that other people know there's a live class, live English class going on. Hit the like button, please, if you don't mind. That would be awesome. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. Also, make sure you check out my full courses. I believe there's a big sale going on Udemy. I think everything's about 90% off, so I would check that out if I were you. Big sale on Udemy. So check out my courses in the links in the description. Thank you very much for hitting the like button. I really appreciate that. Now, let's get into the phrasal verbs. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. Then you'll have plenty of chances to practice your own examples, and I will hopefully be able to give you some feedback on your examples. Okay, so let's start. What is a phrasal verb? What is the meaning of a phrasal verb? Well, it's actually not that complicated. A phrasal verb is a piece of, well, it's sort of grammar in the way that it's put together, but a thing that has its own meaning. And the difficulty about phrasal verbs is that it often has several meanings. That's what makes it tough. When you watch a movie and you see someone say, "Get out," you know what that means, but if you hear them say, "Get out somewhere else," it means something else. So I'm confused. It's confusing because phrasal verbs have often many different meanings, okay? But they're so common, so we have to learn them. What we're going to do is go through 5 really common phrasal verbs with examples. Now, we're going to go really fast. I'm not going to very slowly explain them as I might do in one of my courses. I'm going to go through them really fast. I'm going to give you examples. I'm going to talk about the different meanings. And then, if you want to test yourself, if you think you got the right idea, make your own examples and leave them in the comments. Leave them in the comments. The best way to learn something is to practice input and output, okay? So a phrasal verb is a phrase. Most native English speakers in a language will know most of them. There are some that are special for different countries, but most native English speakers will know most phrasal verbs. And basically, it's a verb plus a preposition or a verb plus an adverb. That's how it goes. All right, so let's go through our first one. Again, we're going to go really fast, super duper fast. Try to make your own examples. Leave them in the comments. Okay, so first one, back up. Back up. All right, now, the first one, you backed up right onto my lawn. Lawn is the thing outside of your house with grass, and if you back up onto it, if you back up onto my lawn, that means you go from off of it onto it. Maybe you're in your car and you're trying to reverse and somehow you get onto the grass. Of course, I'm going to be angry if you back up onto my lawn. So when I say it, I'll say, you backed up onto my lawn. I'm upset about this. You maybe need to fix my lawn or pay me some money, okay? If you get in trouble, I'll back you up. I'll back you up. Now, this is totally different. If you get in trouble, I'll back you up. What might this mean? Back up with a car? That can't be right. No. This one means support you. So maybe you do something in school, we're students, and you get in trouble, and I'm your best friend, and then you may be told a lie, and I lie for you to support you. I will back you up no matter what happens. I will support you. I will stand behind you. Doesn't always mean lie. Could be a good thing. If you do what you think is right and you get in trouble for it, something happens to you, I will stand behind you. I will back you up. So this is totally different. This doesn't mean we're moving backward, like backing up onto a lawn. This means we're supporting someone, we're standing behind them, or we're standing with them to show that we support them, to show that maybe we're friends. Okay, what about this one? Don't forget to back up your project to the cloud. Okay, now this is, again, totally different. Now, if it's one word, sometimes you'll see this as one word. Backup will be together, back and up as one word, B-A-C-K-U-P, with no space, okay? Now, this one, what could this mean? Don't forget to back up your files. Don't forget to make a backup. This is when you have maybe a project or a file on your computer, and it's only there. You want to make a copy in case something happens to your computer. What if your computer falls down and it breaks, or someone spills coffee on it and it's destroyed? Well, the file's gone. But if you have a copy of it, a second copy of it, a backup, then there's another one there. So it's no big deal. Oh, okay, I have a backup. Don't worry about it. Well, I'm upset that my computer is broken, but I have a backup. Backup. If it's a noun like that, then we'll use a, okay? So these three meanings, one is to have a backup, copy of something, behind it, another is to support, and another is to actually move backward. Okay, let's move on, moving quickly. Work out, work out. If I ever work out who stole my camera, I will take revenge. I will take revenge. If I ever work out who stole my camera, work out who? Is that anything like figure out who stole my camera? Yes, it is. So this workout is sort of like figure out or find the answer. I'm trying to work out a very, very difficult problem. It's just so tough. I've been working on it for 6 weeks and I haven't figured it out yet. If I ever work out who stole my camera, I'm going to be very upset. I don't know now. I'm trying to look at the clues and figure it out. I haven't yet. Okay, so we use workout in this way. I feel like everything always works out in the end. This is my general feeling, my overall feeling. What does that mean to work out in the end? Well, if something works out, if someone says, oh, it'll work out, everything will work out, that means it will be okay finally. Everything will be fine. We could add fine to this. We could say everything works out fine in the end. So maybe in this situation, somebody is stressed out or worried about how something might be in the end. They're maybe afraid, what if my application isn't approved or whatever? Someone might say, hey, you know what? I think everything always works out in the end. So don't worry. That means no matter what happens, it will be okay. Everything worked out fine. So we're talking about the end result, what happened at the end. And this one is really, really common. Okay. I usually work out twice a week. Now, this is the one that you probably know. If you work out twice a week, you exercise twice a week. So when we talk about running or going to the gym and doing exercise, we often say, instead of exercising, we say, work out. I work out twice a week. Now, with this one, again, we can put them together. Remember what we did with backup? Backup as one word, make a backup. One word, backup. Same thing with workout. After my workout, I was exhausted. And so I had a banana and peanut butter smoothie. Okay, my workout, so that's a noun. Okay, so you can use it as a noun or two words as a verb, phrasal verb, okay? So this one just means to exercise, and often we use this for a short period of exercise, not for our whole lives. We say, I am going to go work out for an hour, something like that, okay? So these are all, again, very common. All of these are super, super common, but we're trying to move very quickly. I'm going through these as fast as I can. I'm challenging myself. So let's move on. Next one, number 3. Here we go. Bring up, bring up. Now the first meaning you probably know. You must know, okay? Bring the boxes up from the lobby. If you have time, bring the boxes up from the lobby. Now the lobby is at the base, the ground floor of a building, maybe a hotel, maybe an apartment building, okay? If there are some boxes, maybe from Amazon or whatever, in the lobby, we might ask our husband or our wife or our daughter or our son or our friend, hey, can you please bring up those boxes? Bring them up. Okay, so that's very simple. They were down and now they're up. So it couldn't be simpler. But that's the basic meaning. So I'm sure you probably know that one. Now, the more complicated meaning is Grandpa always looks sad whenever someone brings up the war. Okay, so what's this one? Bring up something, to bring up a topic. Hey, don't bring that up. Maybe it's not a good idea if you bring that up. Oh, you really brought up a very good point the other day. You brought up a very good point. So, is this like mention? Don't mention it? Do mention it? You mentioned something? Yes, it is. It's the same as mention. Okay, so maybe Grandpa fought in the war. He has some really bad memories from the war. Maybe his friends died. Terrible memories. So when someone's talking about the war, Grandpa feels sad when someone brings it up. Imagine the topics are all down here, and we sort of bring them up. Okay, so we can understand that. That's pretty straightforward. Now, the third way we use this one is, I want to bring my children up to be honest and responsible. Or we could say, I was brought up by my parents to never lie, or something like that. Try to bring your children up to be decent people. So when we talk about parents raising children, parents teaching their children things, we say that parents are bringing their children up. Now, could grandparents bring children up? Could teachers? Well, if it's grandparents, maybe. If the parents aren't really there, or the child lives with the grandparents all the time. It's really the people that the children spends time with at home. These are the people who bring up the child. And we wouldn't say teachers do that, because children don't live with teachers. It could be grandparents, though, if the parents maybe aren't there or whatever happens. For example, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, was brought up by his aunt because his parents died and his uncle died. So he was brought up by his aunt. Okay, this one is very common. So hopefully all of these are pretty clear. Again, these are all super, super common, but we must move on. We're going very quickly here. So let's go to the next one. Look up. Now, the first meaning, very, very, very simple. We like to look up at the stars on warm summer nights. This one is so simple. That just means we do this. We lay maybe in the grass and we look up at the sky. Very basic. We look up. We look up. Okay. But the second one is kind of related to this, except it's not actually physically happening. There's a relationship, but it's not literal. So let's look at the second one. Oh, wait, what happened? I look up to people who do what they think is right no matter what. Well, what does that mean? I look up to people who do what they think is right no matter what. Could that be admire? Yes, it could. So we look up to people. That means that we admire them. Now, we don't actually look up to them, right? Maybe they're not actually taller than us or standing on a mountain or something. But in a way, we think they're great. We like their characteristics. Does it have to be a certain person? No. It could be a kind of person. I look up to people who do this. That's a general characteristic that I look up to. If anybody has that characteristic, I will admire them. I will respect them for that thing, maybe not other things. But we could say a specific thing, a specific person. We could say, I really look up to my brother. He's so wise and intelligent. Okay, you look up to your brother, You admire your brother. Now, is this the same as respect? Maybe not. Respect is often something that we show with our actions. We should show respect in public with people, right? Maybe in our minds we're going, I don't actually care. I don't care at all. So we respect them with our actions socially, but we might not admire them. But admire and look up to, these are things that are on the... I'm touching my chest. That means it's real. It's real. It happens inside. So admire and look up to are the same thing. Okay. Next one. Before the internet, it used to take forever to look things up. To look things up. To look things up. What does that mean? Well, when we want to look something up, we have something specific in mind, and we want to find out what it means, or we want to understand more about it. Now, this does not mean just casually looking through some books. If we're not searching for something, we're not looking it up. First, we have an idea. I want to know more about the Himalaya mountains. I want to know the definition of the word hermeneutics. Okay, now I'm going to find that information. I'm going to go and I'm going to search it. I'm going to look it up. General learning, what you're doing right now, for example, watching this, you're not looking things up, you're just watching me. Okay, but if you have something you want to know and you know what that is, then you can say you're looking it up. Of course, it's much faster to do that when we have the internet, right? So it's faster to do it now that we have the internet than it was when we didn't, when we had to go to the library and take some books out and look through the books. Very slow, of course. Okay, 4 out of 5. We have one more to do. Okay, one more. The last one we're going to talk about is run out. Run out. There are two very common ways to use run out. Okay, one meaning of run out is to actually leave the house and go do something. Like I ran out to grab some milk and eggs for the cake I was making. So I'm making a cake, and then I realized, no, I don't have milk and eggs. Now, I don't know why I would be so stupid to start making a cake if I didn't have the two most important ingredients. But hey, it's just an example. Anyway, does it actually mean that I ran? Did I physically run to the supermarket? No. If I say I'm going to run out to the supermarket, I'm going to run over to Carl's house, I'm going to run to the library, it doesn't mean that we're running over there. Not really. Maybe, but probably not. Generally, it just means we're going to go there pretty quickly and come back. We're going to go there and not stay for a long time. We wouldn't say I'm going to run over to some place and stay for 9 hours. We usually, if we're going to run an errand or we're going to get something we need, we go there, we buy it, we get it, we take it, and then we come back. So we run out to get something. We run out to do something. That's why we use run in this way. Okay, now what about the last one? If you ever run out of ideas, just let me know. I have a million. Okay, now this one is about quantity, how much of something we have. You could say, we ran out of milk. We ran out of sugar. I need to run out to get something. Those are two different meanings of run out. First one, we ran out of milk, means there was milk and then tuk. Now it's gone. We had it before and we ran out. You can't use ran out if you didn't have it before. You have to have it, and then it goes down until there's none. Then you can say, we ran out of this. Then you can run out to get more. Two different meanings. Okay, so if someone says, I ran out of ideas, trying to think of a good idea, maybe you're trying to solve a problem or write a story or whatever, I want to let my friend know, if you ever run out of ideas, you feel like you had many ideas and now you have none, let me know. Maybe I can give you some good ideas. Okay, so these are the ways that we use these phrasal verbs. All of them are very common. All of them are very useful. I would really like if you could try to make your own examples. Make your own examples, okay? I know we went very quickly. If something is unclear, ask in the comments. If you want me to check your examples or look at them, leave them in the comments, okay? And by the way, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so that's that. Guys, I know I went very fast there. Do you have any questions, hold on. Let me take a small break. That was I feel exhausted. That was hard. That was hard work. It's hard work, guys, to explain things that quickly. I probably went too quickly. So I wonder if you have examples you'd like to try or questions about any of the ones we talked about. Whew. Okay. Tired, hungry, thirsty. See if I missed any comments here. Alexander says, get better soon. Thank you very much, Alexander. I appreciate that. I think we can put these up here, right? I appreciate that. Much appreciated, sir. Lolly Lolly says, good idea to have a backup of the lesson. Okay. Yeah, that would be a good example. It's a good idea to have a backup of the lesson, except one thing. Backup. Backup should be one word because you used and after should be a noun. So the noun form of this one is backup, one word. Okay? That would be a good example, though. Very good. Very good. Okay, now this one. Zaid says, can we say, don't worry, we're going to work it out? Yes, we can say that. We're going to work it out. Don't worry. That's actually a perfect example. I like that one. See, we have a problem. We want to figure it out. We don't understand it. We want to solve it. We want to make it go away. So we have to work it out. Perfect. Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Luke, do you work out? Yeah, I do, actually. Well, I go to the gym maybe only once a week these days, but I do ride my bicycle, almost an hour and a half every day. So that's exercise. That's something. So not bad. Good question. I'm not sure why you asked. Luke, could you explain phrasal verbs with deal, says Jarmila. Okay, well, I can try one or two because there are so many, okay? So let's say deal with something. If we deal with something, then we tolerate it. So, for example, if we have pain, I have pain in my shoulders. It's so painful. I don't know if I can deal with it. So this means tolerate, accept, live with. Okay, I don't know if I can deal with it. Sometimes we say deal with it when somebody's upset about something and we don't care and we're okay with them being upset. And we say, deal with it. Just deal with it, right? Somebody loses a chess match and they feel sad. And we say, well, sorry you lost, but you have, deal with it. Deal with it, okay? But sometimes deal with it is very similar to work something out. I'm trying to deal with some problems right now. I'm dealing with these things. Now, this doesn't mean we actually solve it, though. No, this might mean maybe we are just working on it, but it's not as focused on the solution part, not as focused on solving the thing. Okay, so dealing with it is more about jumping on it, tackling, handling, trying to fix the problem, trying to handle something, and it doesn't focus on the actual result, usually. Although when we're done with it, we can say, well, I dealt with that. I dealt with that. That means it's done. Whatever it is, it's gone now. We don't have to deal with it anymore. Let's see. Look it up in the dictionary. Exactly. Look it up in the dictionary. This is perfect. Got to look it up in the dictionary. If you don't know, look it up in the dictionary. What's wrong with you? Look it up. If you guys want to search the meanings of phrasal verbs, go to thefreedictionary.com. As far as I know, one of the best places to find idioms and expressions and phrasal verbs. You can find many of them there. I'm not even supposed to tell you guys about that. It's supposed to be a secret among teachers. Sometimes I worry that teachers are going to come and get me for telling you guys about this top secret website. Hi from India. Okay, how can I come over my Monday syndrome. Okay, now this one I'd like to just make a small point here. Let's use, instead of come over, let's use overcome. And we'll use it as one word. How can I overcome my Monday syndrome? I haven't heard it called Monday syndrome before. So maybe not Monday syndrome, but I understand what you mean. You hate Mondays. You don't like going to work on Mondays. It's not fun, and you dread going to work, right? So how can I overcome it? And I would say maybe the best way to overcome it is, actually, I don't have a good solution to that. Maybe someone else can give you a suggestion. Personally, I love Mondays, so I have no good solution. I had run. Alexander says, I had run. We got to add out there, right? I had run out of time and forgot, past tense, forgot to make a backup of my files. So I'm going to make a correction here. It's a good example. I had run out of time and forgot to make a backup of my files. So that works. And I'm going to put that, oh, I can only do one at a time. So we can say it like that. I had run out of time and forgot to make a backup, one word, of my files. That's a good example, though. Very good. Lolly Lolly says, I'll back you up whatever you do. I'll back you up whatever you do. That's a good example, but I wonder if that's true. You never know. Someone might do something that you think is totally crazy, and it's hard to back them up. But that's good. You're a very supportive person, we could say. Very supportive. I like that one. Okay. You guys have any other examples you want me to check? No? All right. Jarmila says the best way to cure your Monday syndrome is to stay at home, which I'm not sure if your boss would be too pleased about that one. All right, so now that we've gone through these and we've talked about some examples, if you guys have any questions about anything else, please let me know. Now's the time to ask about pronunciation questions, grammar questions, culture questions, reading questions, things you have been studying, things you don't understand, things you need help with. So that's what this time is for. So we're going to do our Q&A time now. Let's call it, this is our English Q&A, which stands, of course, for question and answer. Okay, so let's do our Q&A. If you have any questions about anything about, especially about English or American culture, now is the time to ask. I don't know if you guys saw my video I posted yesterday about the R sound, but if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. And if you ever feel like, yes, but how do I say this word? Or how do I say that word? This is the time to ask, because you can type it out and I can actually pronounce the words for you. So that would be a good time to do it. Lolly Lolly says, I look up to people who teach English. Yeah, people who teach English. Okay. Luke, are you going to continue your lessons about phrasal verbs? Well, I might do more about phrasal verbs in the future, but I'm actually working on a full course about phrasal verbs. Now, in this class, we went so quickly just because I wanted to see if you guys could still understand each meaning if we went quickly. When I do it in a full course, and by the way, you can check out my courses, my full courses, in the links in the description of this video. When I do it as a full course, I usually take a little more time. I may spend 5 to 7 minutes on each expression or each phrasal verb. So I have 4 courses about common expressions, phrases in everyday English that native English speakers use, especially Americans, and those are quite useful. Each lesson is about 5 to 7 minutes. And I'm working on one specifically about phrasal verbs, but it's not as fast as the ones we just did. Okay, Jarmila says, present perfect time. Not sure what you mean by that one, Jarmila. Does that mean you have a question about present perfect? If you guys don't know what present perfect is, it's pretty simple. Present perfect tense is a way that we change verbs so that we can say something often, to say something that began in the past and has continued until now. Present perfect. So, for example, we might say something like, I have been maybe teaching this class for about, I don't know how long, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. I have been teaching this class for 30 minutes. It's going on. It started 30 minutes ago and it's continuing now. Or we could say, I have lived here for 30 years. I have lived here for 30 years. So we don't have to say always have been doing. That's actually present perfect continuous tense, which is slightly different with the ing. The other way that we use it is to say some things happened in the past and we don't say exactly when they happened. So when we're talking about something that's finished in the past and we just want to focus on the fact that it has happened in the past and we don't want to say yesterday or last week, then we might say, for example, I've been to New Zealand. I've been to New Zealand. I have been to New Zealand. Okay. When? Oh, I went last year. So if we say when, we often use the simple past tense. I went last year. I went to New Zealand last year. I have been to New Zealand. Doesn't really matter when. It happened. It's in the past. Or we might say, I have seen Joker twice. I have seen Joker twice. Okay? I'm not telling you when that happened. I'm not telling you when I saw it the first time. And I'm not telling you when I saw it the second time. The fact is that it happened twice, and we don't worry too much about the time. Have you eaten dinner? Have you eaten dinner? Yes, I have. We're not focused on time. It just has happened. It's true about the past, okay? That's how we use present perfect tense and present perfect continuous tense. Lolly says, I look up to people who teach English. Am I correct this time? Yes, you're correct this time. I look up to people who. We use who because it's about people. This is called a relative clause when we connect something to usually a noun. So it's a person, we use who, and often if it's a thing or a place, we use which or sometimes that. The thing that we use, the who, the that, the which, these are called relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. And they start a relative clause. The simplest way to make one of these is, for example, who. My Uncle Dave is from Canada. My Uncle Dave is a doctor. Okay? My Uncle Dave, comma, who is a doctor, comma, lives in Canada. Pretty easy to make those. Or maybe we would connect one at the end. For example, we might say something like, my friend just started school at Princeton. My friend just started school at Princeton, comma. Now, Princeton, this is a thing or a person. Should we use who or should we use which? We should use which because Princeton is a thing. Which is a very prestigious university or a very famous university. My cousin or friend, whatever, just started school at Princeton, comma, which is a very famous university. Okay, so we use which or we use who to add information to whatever thing we're talking about. It can be the thing at the beginning of the sentence, like my uncle, or the thing toward the end of the sentence, like my friend or my cousin. Pretty easy. Okay, Lolly Lolly says phrasal verbs. You brought up a good point, even if I hate them. Yes, or even if that makes me uncomfortable. You brought up a very good point, even if that makes me uncomfortable. Maybe you say something to criticize another person. Like, oh, Luke, when you were talking about phrasal verbs, you were speaking way too fast. Do you really think people can understand what you're talking about? Nice try, but it's too fast. And I might say, yeah, you brought up a good point. That's a good point. You bring up a good point. Maybe I was speaking too fast. I might feel uncomfortable about you saying that, but you may be right. Maybe you're right. You brought up a good point. I felt like I was talking too fast when I was explaining those phrasal verbs. Do native speakers pronounce D at the end of a word? And the answer is yes. And sometimes we don't, only if it's connected to another thing. For example, so let's come up with some examples here. F-I-N-D and maybe M-A-D and R-E-A-D. Okay. Find, mad, read. Okay. Find, mad, read. Can you hear the D at the end of each one? If we say find, mad, read, without the D, we can hear that it's not there, and that does not sound good. Find, mad, read. What is that? What are you saying? Find. What is find? Find? What are you saying? Find. A find. Now, we don't have to make a big sound after it if we say find. That's a common issue among English learners where there's too much sound added after the D. There's too much stress on it. Find. Ooh, too much. Just a little bit. Find. It's a little bit. Find. Mad. Read. Okay, so we do say it. However, sometimes when there's another thing right after it, then you won't really hear the D because we're focusing on the first sound of the next thing, okay? For example, bad. Let's say bad. Bad teeth. Okay, let's just say bad teeth. Let's do that one. Bad teeth. Now, if you listen carefully to this one, I do say D, but I don't let it go. I don't say bad teeth. Bad teeth. That sounds strange because I'm letting the D go, and then there's a weird space between the D and the T. Bad teeth. Bad teeth. It's not right. It's wrong. But if we link together the D and the T, then the D almost gets eaten. Now, to be very clear, I still have to put my tongue in the place of the D. It has to be there, but instead of letting it go, I'll go directly to the T sound. I'll jump directly to the T and say it without any gap or any space or any pause. So I'll say, bad teeth, bad teeth, bad. So there's the D there, bad. I'm holding it inside. And then I jump to T, bad teeth, bad teeth, bad teeth. So you can hear the difference there. So the answer is there we are saying the T sound. We're just not focusing on it, or sorry, the D sound. We're saying the D sound, we're just not focusing on it. Now maybe what you're wondering is, well, is everything like that? Do we always pronounce every sound if it's there at the end? Someone's at my door. I don't know why. Maybe a package delivery? I don't know. Do we always say it? Well, actually, no. So, for example, if a word ends with an E, if it's a certain type of word that ends with E, we don't. Someone's really ringing my bell. I don't think there's anybody coming to my house. That's weird. Oh, maybe it's teachers who are trying to stop me from sharing. My goodness. All right, guys. I'll be right back. I got to open the door. Sorry about that. He might come to my door in a second. I live on the 5th floor, and I'm not sure if the delivery person will just leave the package downstairs or what. Usually when you order stuff, so we have something here called Amazon Prime, which means you pay every month a certain amount of money, like a membership, and you get all kinds of stuff with it, like videos and movies and music. You also get free 2-day shipping. So I order a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff that I need, I order on Amazon. Food, stuff for my cats, stuff for myself, stuff for my office. And so it arrives very quickly, but usually almost every day somebody is knocking at my door, pushing the doorbell. Not every day. Often. Anyway, it's too convenient to order stuff. So if a word ends with an E and it's a certain type of word, like time, we don't say time, right? We don't pronounce the E. That's called the silent E. And the E is making the I say its name. The E is making the I sound long, right? Or L-A-M-E, lame. Lame. We're not saying lame, right? We're saying lame. Well, if it's just L-A-M, then that would be lam, right? Or if it's T-I-M, that would be Tim. It would be a short vowel sound. The E does a job, and we don't say it at the end. Also, for many words that end in T, we don't exactly say the T, but we also can't do nothing. Now, I talk about this much more in my course about American English pronunciation. It's a really popular course. It has over 1,000 reviews now, and the average score is one of the highest on the platform. That course is about how to say all of these things perfectly. But basically, in that course, you learn that the T sound is often not pronounced at the end, and it stops instead. So instead of saying, for example, H-I-T as hit, we'll say hit, hit. But notice it's not just hit, and we don't let it go. It's a sudden stop that goes hit, hit, hit. It's a stop there. And you kind of have to use your stomach a little bit to make it stop. But that's what we use often to replace a T sound at the end of a word. Not every time, but often. So we say hit, 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 hit. Wait, 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 wait. Okay, wait for me. That makes it sound much more natural when we're speaking. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Alexander. If not, ask another. Yagain says, hello from Azerbaijan. Hello. Hello. Milton has a list of words. Mountain, button. Why do Americans sound like it's Mountain and Bunun? I don't think that they do that. Do they do that, Milton? Okay, let's talk about this one for a second. Mountain. Well, okay, here's what I think is happening. So instead of saying mountain, button, you're right that they don't do that. Instead of that, what they're doing is replacing the T sound with a softer sound. In the case of button, instead of saying button, we'll often say button, 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 a button. So that's not quite a strong T sound, right? It's a little softer, almost like a D sound. Button, button, button. Okay, so people will say that. I haven't heard people say bunun before, though. That doesn't sound familiar to me in terms of American English. Now, mountain, do people say mountain? Mountain? Not quite. But what they do is they might stop the sound. As I mentioned, for the end of a word, like wait, right? We might say mountain, mountain. So you'll hear that stopped sound. Now, will they do it for button? Button, button, button. Maybe sometimes, maybe sometimes. So it's that, but it's not nothing. It's not bunun and mountain. There's still a stopped sound that must be there. It has to be there if you're going to do it, because otherwise it sounds weird. Mountain and bunun sounds very weird to me, but mountain, mountain, and button, mountain and button sound pretty natural to me. Those sound fine. Mountain, button, not mountain and bunun, okay? If that makes sense. Sleepwalker says, what annoys you more as a native English speaker when learners speak with a strong accent or grammatically incorrect? Do you know what's ironic about this question? The thing that annoys me more than anything else is something that native English speakers do, not something that English learners do. I don't feel annoyed when I speak to people who have incorrect English at all, or people who have very strange or different or incorrect pronunciation at all. Doesn't bother me even slightly. Now, it does annoy me a little bit when someone who is not a native English speaker tries to use a fake American accent. I don't believe that you guys should be trying to force yourself to have an American accent or a British accent. That's a little weird, to be honest. That kind of annoys me a little bit. So other than that, though, no, not at all. I love speaking with people who barely speak any English at all. My favorite people to speak with are people who don't know any English, and we have to try to communicate. When I first met my wife, who's now my wife, she didn't know any English, and I barely knew any Chinese. And so we were always just using our faces and using our hands and our mouths and a translation software sometimes, because I had just come to China and she didn't really know English. And so now her English is really good, and sometimes it's boring. I like the struggle to communicate. I think it's very interesting. I enjoy it. So the thing that I mentioned that annoys me most is what Americans do often. It's not all Americans, but some Americans. That is mostly using the word like excessively. Because like can be used to mean the same as, it can be used to mean I said, it can be used to mean I did, it can be used to mean kind of similar to that, or as much as that. And it can be used as a thinking word. And so when people speak like this, and I was like, oh my God, like we were like so hungry. So we like went to an ice cream store. It was like $5. And the lady at the shop was like yelling at us because we like didn't want to pay with cards. We only had cash, and we were like, whatever, this is okay. This way of speaking really, 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 really annoys me, to be totally honest. But this is what Americans do. This is how people in my generation or younger speak. And I don't recommend you learn this, because not everybody speaks like that. And in my opinion, speaking like that, using like too much in a sentence, makes you sound unintelligent. If someone speaks like that to me, I immediately in my mind turn a switch that goes, not smart person. Maybe it's not true. Maybe they are a very smart person, but it immediately reminds me of someone who's not that smart. And so I tend to tell people to avoid using like too much, because everybody uses it. Like is a great word, right? I like it a lot. It's like that. And sometimes we say, and I was like to say that, right? But if it's every sentence and it's too much, then, yeah, Anyway, I won't talk too much about it, but it does annoy me. Lolly Lolly says, is that the glottal stop? Yes. Yeah. The glottal stop. That's the name for it. Very good. Most people don't know what the glottal stop is. It's in the back of the throat. The back there is where you make that sound with hip. You stop the back of the throat. What race of cats do you have? Instead of saying race, we use the word breed. B-R-E-E-D. What breed of cats do you have? I have American short hairs. And if you follow me on Instagram, I don't post that often, but I have some pictures of my cats. So you're welcome to follow me on Instagram if you want to see some pictures. They're very cute. They're very, very cute cats. They're very nice. Circle and Doorbell, 2 cats. They were born in China, and we brought them over to the United States. And their breed is, the breed is American Shorthair. I haven't heard of that breed, Jarmila. As for me, I like to listen to American people who try to speak Russian, and they have a funny accent. I'm sure you do. I love I love all different accents. One of my favorite things is to try to copy the sounds of non-native English speakers speaking English. The accents, French English and Indian English, that's my favorite. And Russian English, I don't know so well. And Japanese English and a Chinese English, that one I like too, very much. But I think it's funny, but not in a mean way, because I know that when I try to speak Chinese, people think, oh, it has an American accent. And I don't mind if people laugh at me. That's fine. I don't care. Accent is accent. But when I do accents of people, it's not with a mean heart. You know, I do it because I like it and it's funny to me, and I don't do it to make people upset. Although one time I was doing an Indian accent with my friend, and another person was there, an Indian person, and I think they got a little offended. I didn't mean it that way. Just trying to be funny. Like is used like a filler word. Yes, that's right. Like, yes, that's right. Okay. Do you like French accent? I like it very much. It is a very interesting accent to try to imitate. It's a very strong sound. And people who speak a French accent, maybe the one I'm using is a little bit exaggerated, but sometimes a very strong accent is difficult for me to understand. I hate when they act like they don't understand. Okay, I'm Greek, so what? Yeah. I mean, English is something that, basic English is easy, right? It's not that hard to learn basic English. It's probably a lot easier to learn basic English than it is to learn basic Russian and basic Chinese and basic Japanese, right? At least for an English speaker. So, and I've heard that it's, generally an easier language to learn at a very basic level. You just need to learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then learn a few basic words, and you're speaking English. So I feel a little frustrated when native English speakers, maybe Americans, don't try to understand someone who doesn't speak English natively, because so many people in the world don't speak English natively. So many people. And that's an interesting thing. I think it's something to try to explore, to connect with another person and communicate. And so I don't really understand why some people are impatient about that sort of thing. To me, it's interesting. Luke, do you speak a foreign language? I can speak, I hate to say how confident I am, but I speak some Chinese. My wife is Chinese. We've been married for over 5 years. And so we use Chinese a lot at home. And I'm always trying to learn new words, new phrases. The writing thing is the hard part for me. My Chinese writing it sucks. I'm terrible. because I never really spent a lot of time focusing on it. So I like speaking Chinese. I like to learn pronunciation. I like to learn new words, but it's very verbal, very oral Chinese. And I'd really like to spend time when I have more time, when I'm not working on courses and extremely busy, actually focusing on getting my writing skills really good, learning how to write all of the characters perfectly. Because right now it's kind of sad state of Chinese writing. Good question. It annoys you that your wife speaks better English. Yeah, that's right, Nathaniel. It kind of does. I mean, it's fine. But so when I first met my wife, as I said, she barely spoke English, and the challenge of trying to communicate with very limited language and facial expressions and hands and gestures, I thought was so interesting. And over time, obviously being with me, traveling with me, now working in America, and now working, here in New York, our English is really good. And of course, I still love my wife, but I kind of sometimes I miss the struggle to communicate, because that was a very interesting period of time. But her English is now really, really good. And she just learned naturally. She never studies English at all. We just talk a lot. Lolly Lolly says, "Ha, you're imitating very well the French accent." Well, thanks. That's a good compliment. If Lolly Lolly thinks that my French English is good, I feel what an honor. I'm very proud to hear that. Thank you so much. I need to work on it, though. I need to make it better. Milton says, "Lolly Lolly, do you have a French accent while you speak?" And Lolly Lolly says, "I think so, unfortunately." And this is my opinion on this. I think, guys, don't stress out too much about the accent thing, Now, it's always good to maybe remove some of the hard corners, right? Let's say, for example, someone from one part of the United States, they have a very strong accent, wherever they might be from Wisconsin, my car's broken. Okay, what? Some people won't understand that from another country. So if you're going to travel internationally or talk with people from around the world who speak English as a second language, you might want to, even if you're a native English speaker, sand down that accent, that local accent. When I started to become an English teacher, there are certain things that I changed about the way I speak in general, just because I wanted to communicate with people from all over the world. So you have to kind of sometimes sand down some of the hard. I like to think of your language knowledge of English as a stone. And if you sand down the hard corners, then it's easier for people to understand, right? So when I came back home after 5 years and had conversations with my family members, they said, Luke, you don't have to speak that clearly, right? You're talking a little bit differently than you used to. And they thought it was kind of strange that I had spoken in a different way than they were used to, than them. And that's just because I slowly changed my way of speaking a little bit too. So when I go back home, I can hear a bit of an accent when my brothers are speaking or my mother is speaking as well. And so if you have a certain thing about your accent that's very, very strong that makes it hard for others to hear, like, for example, Chinese English accent, people say "zis" and "zait" and "zum." Sometimes if someone has a very strong Chinese English accent, I wanted "zis" and I wanted "that" and "zai", "zai". So this is replacing the TH sound with the Z sound. Now this one, it might be a good idea to learn the th sound, and so that might help other people understand you better. But that doesn't mean that you should try to imitate, for example, Americans or British people, because I think then that's also a little strange. So think of yourself as a stone washing down the river. You want to make it easier for other people to understand, make some of those very, very local things go away. But if you're a French person and you have a bit of a French accent, that actually maybe is cool, right? That might make the world a more interesting place. No need to imitate something that's not you, right? That's my view, my personal view. Everybody has their own goals. That's how I feel about it. Because everybody has their own way of speaking. California, Australia, England. Which one are you going to choose? What is standard English? I don't know. I don't think there is anything clearly marked as standard English. People say it's British English. Some people say it's American English. Maybe there is no such thing as standard English. Dinesh says take someone out versus go someone out. Not sure what go someone out means. Go someone out. Not sure about that one, Dinesh. You'll have to maybe find another one. Luke, would you like to enunciate these words? On versus own, our versus over, and see versus... I see the first two, but what? See and ship aren't anything alike. Nothing alike. Well, I'll do the first two. O-N is on. On. O-W-N is own. Own. Now, what's the difference between them? One is a simple up-down motion. Imagine you have a sock on your hand and you just go like this. On, up, down, on. Okay. Now, what about own? Now, this one is not this motion, but is more like this motion. Oh, and we make a circle with the mouth. So the other one, we're just going up, down, and the second one, we do this, from big to little. Oh, and then on, own, on, own. Okay. Then our versus over, there are two differences here. Our opens wide, and then were. Our. By the way, the same pronunciation as H-O-U-R. Our. Our. Okay, so wide mouth at the beginning. Over, an O sound starts with the mouth in a circle shape. Rather than wide like that, it starts here. O, our. O, over. Now for this one, it's very important to add the V sound very clearly. When you say the V sound, your bottom lip should touch your top teeth. V. Not too hard. If it's too hard, it goes It sounds weird. That's not good. If it's too soft, then it's not there. Over. That sounds like a W. That's not good. Over. V. Over. Our and over. And the other two, I'm not quite sure why those are together. I think your wife speaks better English than you, and maybe you are jealous. Yeah, you might be right about that. That is possible. Shake and sake, SH is sh, and S is s. The only difference between them, between any SH and S words, are the sounds of SH and S. SH is sh. Shake. Shine. Shoes. And then the S is s. Sandwich. Sake. Okay, so shake, sake. And the endings are both the same. For me, the accent is part of our culture. The important thing is to communicate, right? I agree. 100%. Totally right. Accents make the world a more interesting place. I would be grateful to understand this. Even attorney must have to go through law section versus attorney have to go through law section. I'm not sure what that means. Not sure what that means. Those two, I'm not quite clear. The English is not quite right on those two. British English is much easier for my ears. That's interesting. That's interesting. I find it interesting which English people grow up with. So in some places in the world, people tend to learn more American vocabulary, and in some places, people tend to learn more British vocabulary. So did you learn pants or trousers when you were in school? Did you say a pair of pants or a pair of trousers? Well, if you learned trousers, then you probably learned British English. And if you learned pants, then you probably learned American English. Okay. In sandwich, I think the D is silent. Am I right? Sandwich. No. Sandwich. Sandwich. It's there. It's just very fast. Because if the D is silent, then it would be sandwich. Right? Sandwich. Now, little kids will pronounce it sandwich. Can I have a sandwich? They'll say S-A-M with an M sound. Little kids always pronounce it that way. They say words in a different way often. For example, they don't say library. They say library. I want to go to the library. Little kids will say that. I want a sandwich. A sandwich. When I was a little kid, I always said, I want a sandwich. So sandwich, library, milk. Little kids say milk as milk sometimes. So I would consider that to be, the silent D would be more like kitty English. But yeah, we should say the D sound. Sandwich. Could you please explain the differences between what you see is what you think and what you think is what you see? Well, let me think about it for a second first. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button on the video. That would be awesome. That tells YouTube, hey, there's a live class going on. Come see what's happening. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you check out my courses in the links below the video. I think there's a huge sale happening now, so they should be cheap. I have to think about this for a second. Kenny, your question is confusing. What you see is what you think, and what you think is what you see. That sounds like a question of philosophy. What you see is what you think, and what you think is what you see. That could mean different things based on how you interpret it. Some people might say what you see is what you think, meaning. Thank you, Lolly, for being the first to like it. I appreciate that. What you see is what you think could be something like you see someone else's opinion, and you see what they think maybe in an article, and then that's your opinion too. You take your opinions from others. And then the opposite, what you think is what you see, means you have an opinion in your mind, and so no matter what other people say or what happens, you place that opinion onto it. You kind of force your opinion onto other things, even though that might not be the right opinion to have. So it could mean that, but then it could mean other things. It's one of those sentences that seems a little poetic or up for interpretation. You know, it's not one of those things with a single clear meaning. If you read English poetry, for example, a lot of English poetry has a very unclear meaning on purpose, because that's what poetry is. If you read, for example, Charles Bukowski, is a famous poet, or someone like Oscar Wilde. If you read these guys, you will read a sentence, and what you understand might be different than what I understand. And that's how it's supposed to be. We get something different out of each line in the poem because it's poetry. And it's written in a way that's meant to give allow room for interpretation, different interpretations based on different people's experiences, their views, their opinions, their perspectives. And that's one of the values of poetry. So, and maybe the author, the poet, intended it to be that way. So, I'm not totally sure, but that could be one way to look at it. If you guys haven't ever read poetry before, I would recommend it. It's a really good way to explore the more creative side of the English language. You might try Charles Bukowski. You might try Oscar Wilde. You might try Robert Frost. You might try. Who else would be a good poet for you guys to read? Well, those three might be a good start. Shakespeare, probably not. A little too thick, a little too heavy, a little too outdated, I think. And it can give you a feeling for the creative side of the language, which is also very interesting to explore. Pants is a tricky word. I never use it. Okay, I use it a lot. I wear pants every day. Okay, do you have some video about call center vocabulary in your channel, like keywords? Wow, Andres said call center vocabulary. Well, I do have one video specifically about customer service English situations. It's not focused only on vocabulary, but more about phrases you can use to show empathy and show that you understand the customer. Then I also have a full customer service English course, which is 7 hours long, about only customer service English, running through vocabulary, a ton of different situations. It's quite a popular course, actually. It's also in the links in the description. It's called Customer Service English Essentials, and it covers a wide range of cases and situations, vocabulary, phrases to express many different things when you're dealing with customers in English. And if in general you're interested in learning more formal or polite English, that would be the course to check out. It's more focused on formal English. Okay, there are some specific types of pants which I call trousers, and some are pants. By the way, Luke, is it a pair of trousers or only trousers? I think you can say either trousers or a pair of trousers. But I know what you mean. So pants might be considered less formal, and maybe sweatpants, things like that. And then trousers might be a little more formal. That's how we use it in America. More formal pants are trousers. But Americans often use the word pants for everything that you put on your legs that are long. Everything. But we still sometimes use the word trousers. Ooh, nice trousers. But as far as I know, British people don't really use pants that much in most situations. I think there might be one or two situations in which they would use the word pants. But you'd have to ask a British person about that one for sure. Yeah, Oscar Wilde is a little difficult but interesting. I like to read Oscar Wilde. And how about the last challenge in the CE group on Facebook? Did anyone get this and explain it correctly? I will give you access to one of my 3-hour courses. Oh yes, I need to get back to one of the students actually who got the right answer. So she will get access to one of them, but she hasn't chosen which one yet. I sometimes will announce free courses for certain things, depending on the situation. I want to start to learn history, but not by reading some articles on the internet. But by the way, natives do. So I was wondering, at what grade do you start learning history in textbooks? This is a good question. I started learning history when I was 6 or 7 years old. There was a series of books that came out that were biographies. Biographies are books about historical people, and they're written for younger people, for kids, and I read the whole series 3 or 4 times about George Washington and famous American people. And since then, I've always loved reading about science, loved reading about history, and loved reading about philosophy. Philosophy was my major in university. Love reading about psychology. And so if you're interested in history, my suggestion would be to find something about history that you really like and buy a book. If you hate reading, maybe try listening to a book. My recommendation would be Audible. So I use, if you guys don't know, Audible is an app. Audible. Okay, Audible is an app that allows you to listen to books. So I often ride my bicycle to exercise and to go to another place where I work, to an office where I work. And so I like to listen for maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours per day. Now, I think I can't play any of that for you because the video might get blocked if I do that. But you can buy books. Oh, it's too bright. Let me lower the brightness. You can buy books and you play them. You play them, and they have the chapters, and you can go through the chapters. Right now, I'm reading one that's kind of a mix between philosophy and psychology. It's called Other Minds. It's about what it's like to be an octopus, according to science, what it might feel like to be an octopus. Very interesting. Let me tell you some of my favorite books. If you guys are interested, some of my favorite books. So let's see here. I'm going to just scroll through a few. These are recommendations I personally recommend. If you're not interested in these things, then just forget about it. But I'm going to recommend a few. If you're interested in science, I'm almost finished with this book called The Gene. And this one is about the history of discovering the gene, the history of learning about genes in humans. Very interesting. I'm nearly finished with that one. Let's see. There's a great course in the great courses called The Story of Human Language. The Story of Human Language. And I'm trying to find the picture of it so I can show you guys. Yeah, this one here. This one is not a book. It's a course from the great courses. The great courses are awesome. And this one is called The Story of Human Language. If you're interested in language and history, and you want to know more about where languages come from, this is not only about English. The lecturer is really good. He speaks very clearly. I think you will understand most of what he says. The course is 18 hours long, so you listen to it. You can slow down the speed or speed it up. Again, it's not a book. It's a course with lectures. Really interesting stuff about the language families of the world, where language comes from, and so on. Awesome. I love that one. That's one of my favorites. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see. There's another one called, this is one of my favorite books of all time. One of my absolute favorite books of all time is called Sapiens. Let me show you. Let's see if I can find that one. Okay, this one. Yeah, this one. This book is amazing. It's called Sapiens. You can read it in your language or in English. It's really good. This one is kind of about history. It's kind of about anthropology, but it's more of a story of humans, where we came from, why we are the way we are. It's really good. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Let's see what else I can recommend here. Do a couple more. If you're interested in personal habits and things like that, and improving yourself, and you want to, learn how you think and how your brain works, this one is really good. It's called The Power of Habit. This one is awesome. I read this one twice. It's about why we have the habits we have, and if we want to change our habits, how we can do it. It's about changing habits. Pretty good. If you're interested in more business and developing your relationships, this is a classic one, which is pretty easy to understand. How to Win Friends and influence people. How to win friends and influence people. Awesome book as well. Love that one. That one's by Dale Carnegie. And let me just recommend one more book about leadership. Probably my favorite book about leadership, I've read this one 3 times, is called Multipliers. This is called Multipliers. This is about how to be a good leader, how to lead other people. So if you're interested in business and leading other people, you're a manager, that would be an awesome one, Multipliers. And the lady who reads the book is really good. She reads it very well. I have lots of other ones, but now you mentioned that, Yuri, that you're interested in history. There are some awesome history courses here too. For example, there's one about World War I. It's called World War I, The Great War. This is not a book. It's another one of the courses. The great courses have these really long, really professional university courses produced so that you can listen to them. And it's a great way to improve your English, improve your listening skills. So this one is interesting if you like learning about war. It's called World War I, The Great War. And I really enjoy that one very much. I think I listened to that one twice. I love reading. I read every single day, but I usually like to listen because it's a little bit more efficient. I can do other things. I can ride a bicycle and listen at the same time. Where Dinesh says, where do you go if you were to have one chance to go abroad? Well, that's a tough one. So many places I like. Sort of my standard vacation place that I go to almost every year is Thailand. So if I could only go to one place, I might go there. But I love Japan. I love China. I love so many countries around the world I love visiting. So it would be very hard to choose, but the standard vacation place for me is for sure Thailand. I love Thailand. Pants means underwear in England, says Nathaniel Lee. Good to know. They just say pants, or do they say underpants? Do they say your pants? Or do they say underpants, your underpants? Okay. All right. Are there adapted books for learners or only full versions in this app? Full versions. This is an app for people who are serious readers, who really want to learn. Anyway, I really strongly recommend this app. Actually, you know what, guys? Yes, let me say this thing. Don't introduce anything like that. I believe I can recommend books to people who haven't listened to a book before. So if it's your first time listening to an Audible book, I think you can get one for free. So if you're interested in one of the books that I mentioned, I think I can send it to you for free if it's your first Audible book. That they have a program like that. So if you like, if you go into the Cloud English Facebook group, you can do it in the Facebook group. Just send me your email address, and I can email you one of the books. I should be able to, if it's your first book, or at least I can try. Let me know which book you want, and I think I can send it to you if it's your first one. They have a program like that. That's for people watching now. This is not a promise that goes forever. This is for those of you watching now. Milton says, how do you like your new phone? I like the battery life, and I like there's some things that are starting to bother me. The Notes app on iPhone is not very good. I'm switching to Google Notes. I like it better. But the battery life is good, and the camera is good. For intermediate learners, I think, for example, that great course that I mentioned about the history of human language, I think intermediate level students could understand. If you can understand me, I think you should be able to understand that course. It's not that difficult, and it's really interesting. And again, a great way to improve your listening. Luke, do you know what the origin of the word robot is? It was used for the first time in RUR fiction novel by Carrick, a famous Czech writer. Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. I'll have to look that up. By the way, if you guys ever wonder, what is the origin of this word? You can search etymology of and then search the word. So for example, etymology of the word robot. Now I'm going to have to search that. So let me do that. I'm just curious. I'm on my computer. Etymology of the word robot. By the way, this is what I searched. Robot, origin, Czech, from the Czech Republic, from robota, forced labor. The term was coined in his play. Yes. Oh, you're totally right. I mean, I didn't doubt you, but you are absolutely right. Cool. Very cool. Very interesting. All right, guys. You know what? I think we're going to have to stop for today. Thanks for all the interesting questions. If you haven't already, again, hit the like button. I would appreciate that. Hit like. If you want to share it, you can share it. And if you want any of the books I mentioned, let me know in the Cloud English group. Just give me your email, and I can try to send it to you. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And please do check out the courses in the links in the description. One of them is free, and the other courses cover a very wide range of subjects and topics. So guys, thanks for your questions. I will see you certainly next week on Sunday. Really good questions today, and let me know if there are things you want me to talk about for next week. I appreciate all the good questions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.